Hello, and in this playthrough we are waking up in a new form of hell. As you can see, we are rebooting one of our androids. Well, bit of a spoiler, it's Markus, or sort of what's left of Markus. Now, if you remember last time we saw him, he was very happily living with Carl, really good relationship, father-son sort of setup. And sadly for Markus, it all went wrong when Leo came back. So anyway, we know something's not quite right, so we're going to try and diagnose what's going on. And yeah, we've got 4 broken bits, which are basically our eyesight, our hearing, our legs, and our sort of power supply heat regulator. So all of these bits are going to need to be replaced, and of course we are in like a scrap heap, and to me this is quite interesting because with our modern plastic and cardboard and food waste and stuff, we just dump it in a hole in the ground. Well, androids have become such a commodity product that when they get broken, they just get dumped in the ground. And as we will see in this particular sequence, a lot of the androids are not, fully offline. So you've got these kind of parts of androids, semi-awake androids wandering around, and when you get some nice little close-ups here, you can actually see that Markus's skin sort of has peeled off. Now, what's interesting is the androids obviously have this sort of plastic metal exoskeleton, or skeleton, I guess, more accurately. And then on top, they've got this sort of fake skin layer and fake hair. So I'm not sure whether it's like the blue blood gets exuded as a gel or what. But anyway, Markus is going to be able to, once he's put himself all back together, like recoat himself so he looks back to normal. And there's a very interesting look at his back here where his t-shirt sort of partially peeled off. Now I'm not sure how long Markus is meant to have been lying here. You do get these little timestamps coming up, and I guess you could work it out. But anyway, you get some really cool bits about like how the android's made here. So he gets to pop open his knee and side clasps, yank off his sort of fake leg bone, and slot on a compatible part. And of course, with the sound effects as well of the rain and everything, this sounds great. Although, of course, right now our hearing's not working, so we can't really hear things properly. And this is a real apocalyptic scene in Android and for androids, and yeah, I mean, it's beautiful lighting effects again of the red from his chest on the ground and his little red beating fake heart. And you might have noticed that in some of the earlier scenes, whenever there's rain, the light reflections great. That, as I've mentioned several times, the game engine really does show off the prowess of the PS4 well. And be interested to see what this would look like at a true 4K on a PC. I think that'd be pretty impressive. And yeah, we're going to be coming up on a really sort of scary nightmare vision sequence in a short while, where Markus has to push his way through an alleyway, and there's all sorts of nice, weird, wonderful little gibbering noises and stuff. But yeah, this scene, despite having some really good moments, also unfortunately does have some of the real cliche stuff. And in fact, Markus's storyline does feature quite strongly some of the cliches, particularly with regard to like civil rights and slavery and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, this sequence I really enjoyed, and of course if you contrast it to that beautiful home relationship that he had with Carl, you can see how this would be quite a traumatic experience for Markus. So I choose on this playthrough to play Markus as the sort of angry, bitter android. Anyway, he's going to find out a key bit of information here. So this android here is talking about Jericho and gives him a clue, something to do with Ferndale, and then he seems to die. So yeah, well, that's something for us to wander on and find out more about. So anyway, this little bit here is a little bit freaky, with this kind of wall of hands, almost sort of a rebirth actually going through here, and Markus definitely does go through a rebirth. And yeah, the first time you play this is a little bit weird, this sequence, and yeah, the facial expression, obviously Markus is not too impressed by this. And then this android here, he's not sure what's going on, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? I'm not sure what happens if you fail that shake there. I haven't actually tested that out yet. That's maybe something to do on another playthrough. Anyway, let us look for more parts. So we've still got our hearing, our eyesight, and our power supply to sort out. And as you can see, there are a few android bits moving around in various states of decay and operational capacity. And yeah, our vision is still blurry and shaky, and our hearing still distorting the sound. And as you pick up bits, obviously various elements get restored, and I do quite like this sequence. It's unfortunately, as I say, it is one of the most cliched bits, and you will see that later on if you've watched Shawshank Redemption. I could probably narrate this bit, you know, I don't know what form of hell, you know, I had to wade through, and you'll see the scene when it comes up anyway. But I do like the fact that, like, just then we had a torso fall over and a bit shake, and then this bit's really interesting where you actually come across a power supply or thirium pump regulator, and we go to take it, and the android's like, no, I'm still alive, and you've got the choice here to either take it or leave it. So I'm playing a Markus who is bitter and angry and will do anything it takes, but not at the expense of android lives. So I'm trying to always be pro-android and anti-human in this playthrough, and I don't always get that quite how I wanted to do it. You know, maybe sacrificing the odd android or allowing a human to live, etc. Anyway, yeah, we're about to get our eye. Unfortunately, it's not quite the same colour. It's blue, whereas our actual eye colour is more of a green colour. And I don't think Markus can actually change that. I can't remember if in later playthroughs you'll notice his eyes start matching. So that's a sort of a interesting decision. What I don't quite understand is why this head is still alive. It's not attached to any other android parts, so that's something I in some ways think they did wrong. Now, if it had a sort of umbilical cord going to a bit of a body, then fair enough. Anyway, I need to press X to slot this in, so in it goes, and now our vision should start clearing up, and we can see the true extent of the hell we're in, with lots of rejected android parts, partially working androids, some more complete than others, and yeah, I mean, this, as I say, can really inform your character as to why Markus might go from being sort of pro-human to anti-human. So, as I said, that's the stance I take in this playthrough. And this sequence doesn't have too much more to go. There are obviously a few variations in here. One of the key bits being, like, do you let the android live or not? I haven't explored enough of the options in here to know if there's any other major playthrough, so I've got a feeling this sequence has fairly minimal variation, but that's not to say there's not more stuff I just haven't discovered. And again, if you were to analyse the flowchart at the end of this playthrough, you might see there are other branching options that I did or didn't take, and that, as I mentioned in the previous scene, is something that is very clever, that, you know, even in a scene like this where there's hardly any real variation, there is still at least one diverging path you could take, and when you multiply that across, you know, 3 characters and multiple scenes, that adds up to quite a lot of loose ends to tie together. Anyway, our hearing is now being restored, so we actually get to appreciate the rain effects, and that's a lovely camera angle. And I think, you know, with the angel, the light, the crane, and then of course when you move to the left here, the ramp to freedom. But we haven't quite done yet. We need one more part, which is here, our sort of heartbeat. And this droid here sadly doesn't seem to be very functional, so they won't be needing that. Unfortunately, that does mean unplugging our own power supply, which puts us on sort of emergency backup power, so we have to be a bit quick. It would be interesting to see if you remove your part and don't fit the replacement one quickly enough, whether you could actually die at this scene, and that, you know, that would be the end of the story for Markus. I'm not sure you can actually die, but you never know. Could give it a go on a playthrough. So there you go, we are now stabilised and we can start trying to repair like our damaged skin here, and obviously we're going to need to get dressed into more human clothing and get rid of our little LED patch on our temple, because it's a bit of a giveaway that we're an android, and of course a rogue android will draw the attention of people like Connor. Now on my first playthrough climbing this slope, I did actually slip down several times. On this playthrough I think I do manage to climb up pretty easily, but yeah, if you're not quite on point on pressing your buttons, you will find you slide down a bit, and yeah, you know, on this one I just pretty much climb straight up without any trouble whatsoever. And cue the homage to the Shawshank Redemption, and yeah, the orchestral score and the video really does evoke that scene, and I really like it as a powerful scene. But yeah, it is super cliche, so as I say, the critics have been a little bit damning of this particular sequence, but it's a good little fun sequence. And we are now, if we haven't been clear that this is Markus, going to find out that this is definitely Markus. So here you go, swelling orchestral soundtrack, rain pouring down, and the sort of the Jesus crucifixion pose. Yeah. Anyway, we are now checking. Now I'm not sure if we are checking, do we still have our LED attached, or do we have like a Wi-Fi connection to the cloud. Anyway, we can grab this little flint and remove our little Android indicator. And what's interesting, I was just trying to see if you could fail here, so you'll notice a couple of times I sort of try and fail, but yeah, it looks like to my mind you can't actually fail this, but again, I'm happy to be proven wrong on another playthrough. So anyway, we rip it off, causing a little bit of skin damage, and then we actually get to see him touch and like heal over that skin. So there you go, we are all set to go off into the wild and cause android mayhem. So Markus now is ready to be himself. He's no longer a servant, he is his own living entity known as Markus the android. Yeah, I mean, that close up with the water and the skin texture, just absolutely cracking. And as someone who's used to, you know, the old-fashioned video games from the 80s and stuff, it's just amazing to watch this, what you can now do. Anyway, there you go, that was that scene. On to the next one, and see you in the next video.